Sports Professor Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard, the show that goes behind the trillion-dollar business of sports. And how about this time? I'm in Houston today. We'll talk about baseball a little bit later, but how can you not revel in the fact that you're part of history? I just saw the greatest baseball game ever played on this or any other planet, and that just shows baseball continued to have life. People in Washington excited about the managerial hire from the Cubs. Probably. We'll get to that in a minute. And by the way, if you want to see all of our stuff, the 15 to watch, the tech, the Power 5, the do-good in sports, take a look at CSN Mid-Atlantic and the website. Subscribe to us, Google Play, Audio Boom, Apple, Stitcher, all of the usual locations. Today we have somebody that cuts across sports and education, John Chapman and EverFi. We'll get to baseball in a minute. Hold on. That's okay. But first, we got a couple of other sports to deal with. First of all, let's just start with the NBA. They're moving closer to having the players wear technology such as wristbands during play could increase the amount of data and information teams, coaches, and fans could have about players while they're playing. By the way, the wristbands are electrically charged. They have a whole bunch of funky technology on it. Technology for the NBA, and the VP for Media Operation and Technology, Steve Helmuth, says the recent VR developments talk about the motion capability to capture and then knowing the hands, arms, legs, feet positioning. It's kind of the last piece in really allowing a computer to understand the game of basketball. You're under the basket, you're seeing the collisions, you're seeing the athleticism. And with the NBA progressing as one of the most tech-savvy leagues in all of pro sports, it comes as no surprise the NBA is embracing this collection of tracking media. My take is that MLB teams looking at basketball, fans have a large amount of access to a variety of on-field measurable stats, and it's only raised the interest for more data there. So what the NBA started, the MLB will soon follow. How about wristbands on the game at the beginning of the week, 13-12? You blow your hands off the wrist. And, of course, you have NBA on-court stuff, but you got to be able to play in an arena. And just a year after the opening, the Golden One Center in Sacramento has begun to pay dividends in the community. The team's new billion-dollar arena, one of the world's most technologically advanced and sustainable as well, making it a city staple. And since 2005, downtown property sales have totaled nearly $885 million when construction first began on the Golden One Center, while 11 downtown properties worth nearly $360 million were sold in the past year alone. In 2017, the facility was ranked as one of the top 15 venues in the U.S. and the top 40 worldwide in ticket sales, attracting over 1.6 million attendees who spent more than $70 million in downtown Sacramento. And obviously, already a staple in the community, the Golden One Center continues to drive economic impact in Sacramento and look for other cities to use this as a case study to build their own state-of-the-art facilities. Just a little bit of a matter of time. Let's look at the NFL. It's always on top of mind, but we talk about it today in a number of different contexts. Obviously, Colin Kaepernick set to attend a meeting between the NFL players and owners. The two sides plan to talk about the ongoing social activism and protest effort. He is an important voice in the effort, everybody says, and this now marks the second time he's been invited by members of the league. Officials have been open to the idea of former NFL players joining their discussions. It remains unclear what the exact contribution will be, since Kaepernick, by the way, is not on a team. So he may ironically be a former NFL player who has filed a grievance for not being a current one. Protesting the national anthem all began with him, so it'll be interesting to see what, if anything, comes out of his inclusion in the meeting. But this is an incredibly important point. Process is fine, but social activism and what can really be done and what is not realistic is a very important issue for the NFL to discuss. So basically where the rubber meets the road. The Niners teaming up with multiple police unions in an attempt to ease national police community acrimony all of the police organizations all over the Northwest. And one of the key areas of focus in this new partnership is gun control, specifically to outlaw bump stocks, where the shooter in Vegas used them to boost the killing power of his rifles in an unparalleled, unspeakable tragedy, which, by the way, we all shouldn't forget on a regular basis. Jed York says we're all very interested in progress, and it's very clear that protesting has brought ample vision, and the partnership could spur a movement across the league of teams working with police unions in their respective markets. It's a great step in the right direction, I think, for the NFL. And most important on this issue, it takes the controversy and deflects it in the right way, from who's standing and who's not to what can we really do about some of these issues. Microsoft, partnering with the NFL Stars for Charity campaign. Part of their Create Change campaign, they began backing the charitable organizations of 5 NFL players: Von Miller, Russell Wilson, Martellus Bennett, Greg Olson, Richard Sherman. They've each started their own charitable organization since entering the league, and this week each player agreed to partner with Microsoft in an effort to spread awareness and raise additional funding for their cause. Microsoft will be providing each organization with Surface tablets to help increase the efficiency of their work. Additionally, the company makes a charitable donation to each player's foundation. Microsoft also produced videos of each player discussing their foundation and why it's important to them. The videos debuted this week as part of a contest Microsoft is running for the Super Bowl, in which fans are encouraged to submit stories on how they've created positive change in their community. The 5 winners selected by Microsoft's NFL partners will each receive a trip for 2 to Super Bowl 52. The most important thing, again, put your money where your mouth is. And let's remember also, we had the discussion last time about Howie Long donating a substantial amount of his salary, not Howie, but one of his wonderful kids. He's got 2 great kids who play in the NFL, and one of the issues is how do they generate some excitement? Well, he's from Charlottesville, and what he did, Chris Long, is to give some significant dollars, pledge 10 for tomorrow. The social media platform gets fans involved. The campaign already raised about $200,000 in just over a week. Everybody would agree equality is a goal, and a great gateway of this is education and educational opportunities, educational equality, says Chris. A great example of a player using his status as a pro athlete to spur change in communities all across the country. Well, so the NFL is doing some of that, which is really important. And the bottom line as well is they're generating some additional dollars. So more dollars, more money for social causes, you would think. Amazon continues to make their way in the streaming services arena. 7.1 million views in over 180 countries around the world in the first 4 Thursday night games. They've talked about it as a streaming success, and over the remainder of the NFL season, we'll really see if viewership increases. And if it does, Amazon may have much more competition next season for NFL streaming rights, and maybe more important, the NFL may have created either a new category for bidding or a new group of bidders in the main category, both of which have the same impact: more money for the NFL. And Amazon and Facebook continue to push their stream live sporting events around the world. A potential bid to land the EPL media rights may cost more than $13 billion. The Amazon Thursday Night Football is just a small piece, as we know, $14.6 million on conventional TV for the NFL, but the issue is how you get in the door. Sky and BT working out a deal to pay less for EPL's media rights. The sport now accounts for 2/3 of spending on content, but only 8% on viewing. Amazon and Facebook both have the capital necessary to make competitive bids. It just depends if either company is willing to justify such a move. So, more social good, but probably more important than any of that, more dollars to be deployed for that social good. Let's talk soccer. Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta hosts the 2018 MLS All-Star Game. Atlanta FC's continued success and the city's affection for soccer means that they're going to have that all-star game. Atlanta United owner Arthur Blank say, I don't think we have to worry about selling out the stadium for an all-star game, that's for sure. He went to Chicago. He sent some of his employees just to see what the game was like when the MLS faced Real Madrid. This marks yet another mega sporting event for the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. The city and venue will use this as a tune-up for the CFP, Super Bowl, Final Four, and on and on and on and on. Cities that want NHL, MLS, they want an NHL expansion franchise too, Charlotte, but that's not the point. MLS expansion clubs, some continue to stay in and some have to wait a little while. Charlotte, as I just said, the city's first-round efforts were confirmed to be dead by the lead investor for the local team. City planned on building a soccer-specific stadium for the new team, one of the main criteria for cities hoping to land an expansion bid that would cost $175 million, but the combination of upcoming elections and the competition by Nashville dashed any remaining hopes. The city and county government disagreed on how the stadium was going to be funded, and the team committed to pay, or at least the future investment group, some of the $150 million fee to acquire a team if Charlotte's bid succeeded, but it got to the point where the dollars of public money from a tourism tax outstripped the political demand. And with numerous cities vying to land an MLS expansion team, soccer-specific stadium is a must. Obviously, funding always an issue. We understand that. And by the way, you have issues of fields that come along with funding as well. NYC Football Club in the city of New York opened 10 new soccer fields across the city. As part of the New York City Soccer Initiative launched last year by Mayor Bill de Blasio, members of New York City Football Club were present at the openings of 10 new soccer pitches across the city. The New York City Soccer Initiative being led by NYCFC, U.S. Soccer Federation, the Mayor's Fund to Advance NYC, Adidas, and Etihad Airlines. The initiative plans to build and maintain 50 mini soccer pitches in underserved neighborhoods across the 5 boroughs of New York over the next 5 years. Their goal is to expand after-school programming for thousands of New York City youth and ensure that New Yorkers of all ages can work, learn, and play in safe neighborhoods. Soccer, obviously, one of those keys down the road and today. And not just here with the 2018 FIFA World Cup in Russia. Believe it or not, less than a year away, significant plans are being made for the event. FIFA President Gianni Infantino wants VAR technology in place for all tournament matches, and the virtual assistant referee was used during Confederations Cup in Russia during this past summer with positive results. One of the biggest fears in the sport is that a major tournament or game would ultimately be decided by a refereeing error, hence the need for VAR. We need it. Every championship needs it, says Infantino. That's being shown in leagues like Portugal and Italy at the moment. Meanwhile, in Russia, the AP reported that hosting the World Cup will cost the country $600 million more than previously planned, bringing the total cost up to $11.7 billion. Hidden and rising costs are commonplace for countries tasked with hosting World Cup and Olympics. Despite continual efforts to buck this trend, is my take. But if anybody knows about cost overruns and continuing to want to do it, it's Russia. Witness Sochi. All right, we've been waiting. So let's go to baseball. World Series, amazing. I just think I finished the most exciting, most drama-packed baseball game ever, 13-12 last night at this taping, Minute Maid Park. And by the way, viewership through the roof, 4.8 million average for the dollars heading into viewers heading into the World Series, up 13% from last year, 46% from last year on the NL side, Dodgers and Cubs, and the 9.9 million average tops 9.7 watching Game 6 of last year, Cubs and Dodgers, which was pretty stout there. But the World Series, an entire new dimension. Numbers are expected to be strong across the biggest markets, the intensity, star power, home runs. People are talking about how the baseball is too juiced up. You can't have it both ways. You have a 2.5-hour game one. You have a 5-hour and 17-minute game five. You know what the bottom line is? Pace of play is fine. Let Commissioner Manfred deal with what he needs to deal with. But more important than any of that, the excitement completely makes pace of play irrelevant. A long, close game I would take any day. And the kids who don't get to watch it, tape it and watch it the next day. Don't go to school. Tampa Bay Rays finally have a site picked out to build a new stadium, but the funding remains up in the air, talking about baseball. Channel District Ybor City presents developers with an opportunity to build an urban ballpark on a 14-acre site. $650 million it may cost, but not including infrastructure, roads, interstate access, transit lines, and sources close to the franchise note it's unlikely that ownership will offer to pay for a new ballpark outright. St. Pete Mayor Rick Chrisman offered to build a new ballpark at a redeveloped Tropicana Field, though the team seems intent on moving elsewhere. That and Oakland are the two big issues that Major League Baseball needs to deal with now as they move forward. Let's finally talk about some on-field stuff. Wearable technology continues to make its way onto MLB. Garmin released the Impact Bat Swing sensor, relaying data and info to any player that uses the application. The sensor is a small watch-like device that fits into the knob of the bat. Similar to the ZEP sensor, Garmin decided to try its hand at a new piece of baseball technology. Garmin's been a great success in our other sports products, like the golf swing sensor, so the addition of the impact of the bat swing sensor to the performance training market seemed like a natural fit. The on-device display and auditory cues of the impact bat sensor allow batters to quickly make adjustments to come to game time so they can step up to the plate with confidence, says the PR folks. Time will tell, but Garmin has told us how to get to Philadelphia, saving 20 minutes. Now it may tell us how to hit more home runs. The Mets and Phillies currently augmenting reality experiences for their fans starting next season. The transition began in late September. Coca-Cola handed out interactive cards on which fans could download the ballpark app and see the card display and animation. Coca-Cola's marketing director for sports and entertainment said it's one of the first partners to do something with Major League Baseball on this, but the teams love this because the app downloads made up by 66% increase when we did this activity. The advent of this form of technology could help attract fans who may not be pleased with baseball's relatively slow pace. I don't know who they are. Maybe they were people who were watching the Mets and Phillies, ironically. With more interactive features, fans that come to the ballpark could have something else to watch along with the game and stay engaged themselves. May see more and more MLB teams adopt this technology in an effort to add to their fan experience. Well, maybe the fan experience in Philly and New York will be virtual reality, a losing team winning. We'll just have to see. Baseball continues to succeed on and off the field, and one of the things they do is develop partnerships with really creative companies. EverFi has been a major leader in the digital education space, 18 million learners, 10 years experience, 20,000 K through 12 schools, 4,300 or so partners, $251 million in innovative investing, including Sir Richard Branson, Bono, Jeff Bezos, and 3,000 corporation sports leagues and athletes on the sports side. They teach kids and make it fun. And Major League Baseball, with their Summer Slugger program, got involved in that now with the definitive peg of the World Series and Major League Baseball. We talked to John Chapman, the co-founder of EverFi, as he talks through how baseball's partnership works and how EverFi continues to move the needle for digital education and sports. John Chapman.
Rick Horrow, fields, development, education, all synonymous with philanthropy and doing social good and getting much benefit out of processes and assets. We're in the middle of an interesting section of Baltimore called Mosier Park, and it's similar to a lot of sections of the country, similar all over the country and the world. Fields, facilities can generate some positive benefits from them. Let me do it again. Okay, tighter. 3, 2, 1. Rick Horrow in Moser Park in an interesting section of Baltimore. This is like any other city, inner city area all over America, where fields are being renovated and education and positive social good basically carries the day. One of the leading digital education companies in the world is involved in a lot of these processes and the continuity of them and the compatibility of them. John Chapman, founder, EverFi, how are you?
I'm doing well, Rick, thanks.
You guys basically broke the mold. The numbers say you have $250 million of new venture capital, 18 million learners, which is big, 20,000 kindergarten through 12 schools, 4,300 partners. That's pretty prolific. Having that set up, what exactly do you do?
Sure. Well, first of all, we work in communities like right here in West Baltimore. So it's actually appropriate that I think we're here today. These are the types of communities that we've always prioritized working with as an organization. We are an education technology company. We're one that teaches young adults through adults critical skills. And so critical skills for us can be topics that put a lot of pressure on individuals, families, communities like here in West Baltimore, things like financial literacy, health and wellness, other types of topics that are often under-taught in the school day. They're sort of, they get a bit of the short shrift, and oftentimes communities like this don't have the resources to bring kind of next generation education technology to those students in those communities. So we've built a company that's built on partnering with the private sector to bring our learning technology to communities like here in West Baltimore and all across North America, where we're working with 20,000 schools and about 6 million learners annually.
Well, and the numbers obviously prolific, but it's also in schools' interests. We'll get to teams and leagues in a minute.
Sure.
But the corporate partnership model, where it's not just philanthropic, but it's important for these corporations to make the social statement. So often they'll partner with you to deliver this kind of product to schools?
Yes, absolutely. That's the essential of our model at EverFi. We create these public-private partnerships. You've got a school that consumes our technology and delivers it in the classroom. We work with teachers and educators all across the country to do that. We go ahead and power that technology. We service and update and continually make sure it's the best it can possibly be. And then we take their support. They essentially license that technology on behalf of that community that they care about. It could be in the footprint of where they do business. It could be for other kind of community affairs objectives, but it really creates a win-win. Kids get access to this technology that teaches these critical skills. Those organizations get a chance to create a really strong corporate social responsibility initiative. And at the end of the day, communities like here get to benefit.
Well, that's agnostic in the sense that that's not really sports, but it's social good. It cuts across all disciplines, not just sports.
Absolutely. And we're looking to work in, again, topic areas that we call critical skills, ones that you think about something like financial literacy, which was our flagship content area when we started the business almost 10 years ago. Something like that really puts pressure on communities, because if you don't have a good idea of how to be responsible with your finances or how to acquire a student loan if you're a high school student, we want to give them and empower them with that knowledge so that they can, better their lot in life. They can, have more opportunities that we know education can provide them, or they can more responsibly manage their finances as they go into the workforce. It really doesn't matter. So it does cut across. It's not just about sports, but certainly, as you know, we've used the power of sport as a really effective platform to teach some of these skills.
Well, let's talk about that piece of it and segue into your partnerships, NFL partnership, NHL partnership, and others. Talk about those.
Sure. We are really proud to be to power all 4 professional sports leagues, a major education initiative in each of those leagues. So with the NFL, as you mentioned first, we run a program called Character Playbook. It's a character education program to help teenagers develop better habits around healthy relationships, so sort of those awkward middle school years when you're in 8th grade. It's important to instill those types of habits. So we work with all 32 NFL clubs to promote that program in middle schools across the country. With the National Hockey League, we run a program called Future Goals. Future Goals uses the game of hockey to teach students about STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, as well as careers associated with STEM. That's a really exciting program all across now 31 markets in North America, the US and Canada. With the Major League Baseball, we are really excited. We just launched a program with them this past June called Summer Slugger, and that attacks summer learning loss, particularly in elementary school age students, and particularly in communities that are underserved or lower socioeconomic communities where resources to keep kids sharp over the summer aren't as plentiful. And so that really fills that gap. And then with the NBA, we've worked for many years on a financial literacy program in several markets across the league.
And let's focus on Summer Slugger for a minute, because it's quite innovative. And Joe Torre, who's the chief baseball officer as well as the commissioner, have expressed just really significant unbridled support for the program. So talk a little more about that.
Yeah, so Summer Slugger is our newest partnership with the Professional Sports League, and one we are super excited about. In June, as you mentioned, Chief Baseball Officer Joe Torre attended the Dream Academy in Harlem, where we launched the program officially in front of about a couple of hundred students, elementary school age students in that school. We had Harold Reynolds from MLB Network there. We had executives from Commissioner Manfred's office there, as well as several other dignitaries from clubs. The Yankees also showed up with their community team and gave all the students at the end of the program free tickets to a Yankees game. And what was really great about that program, Rick, was watching Joe in the classroom with the students, and he went in and watched them interact with Summer Slugger, which is, again, an online learning program to help keep kids' academic skills sharp over the summer. So they're using the game of baseball to play these mini series, just like a baseball series. And instead of having baseball within that, solely baseball within those series, they have math and literacy concepts in a kind of a fun game-like atmosphere. So they're able to keep their skills sharp over the summer, which we know is just a major issue. Kids lose, about 2.6 months worth of academic knowledge over the course of the summer, and we want to really fight against that. So it's really exciting, and an event that type of support was something that we're really proud of, and I think it got that program off to a great start.
I assume the other piece of this is very important is not only do you cover the waterfront, all the teams, the big four sports, but you also probably challenge some of those teams to dig a little deeper because you have a best practices template as well.
Absolutely. We're able to, I think, put them in the game of digital education. You talked about us being a digital education company and one of the biggest in the world, which is correct. We actually are able to take that expertise and be an extension of clubs. So in many cases, sports clubs for many years have done wonderful things in the community, but this is adding a bit of an innovative element to their work. And I think they really appreciate that. They're able to use our team of former educators that live and work all across North America, who build relationships with local school officials. They're able to kind of have those folks as extensions of their community teams, bringing their brand into the community around topics that are really important from a social good perspective, and are also great from representing their brand well in the community, which is something they're all very proud of.
One of the things that will permeate this show over time will be, how do you quantify success? There are many do-good stories, and we're going to bring those to you weekly, monthly, but from a businessman's perspective, there's ROI, there's the economic investment, there's satisfying the capital requirements, there's debt service, all of those issues. So how do you reconcile?
Well, in many ways, we've always believed philosophically that you can you can do well by doing good. Okay, you can run a socially responsible for-profit corporation, and that's what we've done. One of the things that we're most proud of, you mentioned a moment ago, we have raised a significant amount of investment over the years in the history of EverFi, but one of the most significant investments, and one of the ones we are most proud of, was this past spring. We were the inaugural investment of the Rise Fund, which is one of the world's largest social impact investment vehicles. It's co-founded by U2 frontman Bono, as well as executives from private equity firm TPG. And they have decided that they're going to aim for businesses that are having a social impact, but are also profitable and giving a return to investors. So we really feel like, in many ways, when we're developing programs that are going to the community, they are ones that are doing meeting an important social need educationally, but we're also able to create value for our customers and able to charge a license fee to them so that we can continue to grow our business responsibly.
And if we really want to quantify the genesis or the core of the power of sports, corporate America, corporate world has to really be at its core, has to step up.
Right.
If there are board members now that are more philanthropic than before,
right.
if corporations feel like they're measured based on social good as well as ROI,
yep.
you're in good shape, and basically the country's in good shape.
Absolutely. In many ways, if you think about it, corporate partners are nothing new to the sports world. But what we're providing those corporate partners is an opportunity to do something unique and innovative. So they can always go out and, put an ad on the scoreboard or do some other sort of traditional way of announcing themselves to the broader community. But in our case, they can also bring a program to local schools. They can actually be a part of partnering with a club in a way that maybe hadn't had the opportunity or done before.
What does EverFi look like 10 years from now?
Well, hopefully we're continuing to impact more individuals, more communities, more sports leagues around the world. So we've to date been confined to North America, which we're really proud of. But we are, today engaged in conversations with leagues overseas and around the globe to try to bring that element of our business to those communities, as well as all the other things we do, whether it be financial literacy, health and wellness, some of the work we do on college campuses. These are all really important issues that I said, that again, put a lot of pressure on different types of communities. We want to be able to bring those globally, not just here in North America. So I think hopefully we'll expand our mission globally.
Well, John, it's an incredibly EverFi important component in the power of sports. Thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure. Thanks, Rick.
Okay.
Well, that's our show for today. It's action-packed. You can tell. We'd like to thank John Chapman at EverFi for donating his time and Major League Baseball for taking advantage of that wonderful partnership. I'd like to thank everybody who helped produce this show, Dan Martin, Tanner Simpkins, Ronnie Sokash, and others. And obviously, we'd like to thank you for listening and watching. And join us next week when we go Beyond the Scoreboard.